get right to the issues in the race. We got bad news here. We're losing Millennium Studios, losing a lot of jobs. Is Shreveport the only city in our state that's going to lose jobs? And this has to do with trimming those tax credits. I know that's something, you say we have to look at, but we're already seeing some job losses.
Yeah, well, we need to revisit that in a big way. That's why I have a working group put together already looking at ways we can stabilize that program. Obviously, we couldn't continue it without limit as in the past, but I don't think what the legislature did last year is the optimal way to go, and that's why I have this working group put together. So we need to have some finality to the matter next year. We need to fine-tune the program and tell the world, Hollywood and everyone else, we're open for business. This is the program. It's not going to be revisited every year and then grow from there.
Well, that's giving tax credits away. We can't afford to keep giving away tax credits, Senator.
Well, look, there are limits put on that program, so it's not a question of all or nothing. And so we need to look at other programs as well. I'll tell you where we should go, where we haven't done enough reforms, and that's the solar tax credit program, where we're still giving out tens of millions of dollars under that program. I think there's significant economic benefit on the film side, at least in a program within reasonable limits.
Mr. David, I think, and a lot of analysts will tell you this, that the key to this race, that maybe in this governor's race more than any other time, that voters of specific parties are not going to be party loyal. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine asked me this weekend, they said, look, we're $1.8 billion in the hole. There's a Republican legislature, Senate and House, and there was a Republican governor. What difference does it make? So tell me, what difference does it make if the Republicans are in charge and we're $1.8 billion in the red?
Well, it makes a huge difference in terms of what direction we go as a state, because there are big, big differences between me and John Bel Edwards. And I think voters, they're not going to be party loyal. Voters don't care about just a jersey, a letter next to somebody's name. They are going to care about political philosophy, voting record, what direction the two candidates want to lead our state in, because we have a stark choice in those terms on issue after issue after issue. I'm a proven Louisiana conservative. On all of those same issues, John Bel Edwards is a proven liberal, not moderate, not a conservative Democrat, a proven liberal, and that makes a big difference in terms of what direction we would lead the state and what solutions we would put forward.
He says he's better for women in Louisiana. How do you respond?
Look, we need somebody who's better for all Louisianians to grow the economy, to increase prosperity, to build the future we need. That goes for women, that goes for men, that goes for African Americans, that goes for white folks. And on those issues, I think John Bel Edwards' liberal policies are not going to advance us. For instance, on growth and economic development and creating jobs, John Bel has a horrible rating from leading business groups like National Federation of Independent Business, like Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. I mean, he has a lifetime score in the 20s from those groups, lower than Mary Landrieu did, lower than Mitch Landrieu did.
Do you like him?
I don't know him that well. I get along fine with him in person when I'm with him. I have nothing against him personally, but I think those policies driving the union agenda, driving the trial lawyer agenda, are really going to spell big trouble for us and for our economy and for our opportunities in the future.
When you see
so that record I'm talking about is not the record of a conservative of any kind, a conservative Democrat or anything else. He's really propagating this myth that somehow he's conservative in some way. If you look at that concrete record, it just doesn't hold up.
I would be irresponsible to not ask you this, and you can tell me to go jump in the lake. He ran a pretty rough TV commercial during that LSU game. You know about it. You know what I'm talking about. Our listeners know about it. Your reaction to that, and was that a low blow?
Well, look, I've addressed my personal failings from 15 years ago very directly. And I I've addressed those very directly. First, with my family, who've given me forgiveness, and secondly, with the voters. I think that commercial is important for a few reasons. First of all, on primary election night, he pledged to the voters to not run negative ads. Now he's run negative ads. So he said one thing, he did another. That ad also violates a military regulation about showing yourself in uniform without a disclaimer. That's a direct violation of a clear military regulation. That's sort of code he's always talking about. And General Peyton Cole from Shreveport-Bossier wrote him, asked him to take down the ad in light of that clear violation. He chose not to do that. I think that says a lot as well.
Mr.
The other
David,
thing the ad did is use images of veterans' tombstones at Arlington Cemetery. I know a lot of veterans upset about using those images in a political attack ad, and in fact, the mother of a Louisiana National Guardsman who we successfully got buried at Arlington wrote him, said how offensive that was, and asked him to take the ad down. He chose not to do that and not to respond in any way.
Mr. David, he told us an hour ago that the reason he's running that ad, will continue to run that ad, is because you have been lying about him for over a year. And he says that that's what they taught him at West Point to defend himself.
Well, did they teach him to break a military regulation directly, as he's doing in that ad? And look at General Peyton Cole's letter. It lays out those regulations in detail. Did they teach him that at this point? Did they teach him to dishonor veterans by using images of veterans' tombstones at Arlington in a political attack ad? Did they teach him to ignore the letter from that veteran's mom saying, take that down, it's offensive? I didn't realize they taught him that at West Point.
He called you, and I'm going to quote him, a political schoolyard bully. I want to give you a chance to respond.
Look, John Bel is focused on everything except our future and except the huge differences between him and me in terms of our voting records and where we want to lead the state. That's what elections are about, our future and how the candidates are going to lead the state based on their political records and political philosophy. And I think it's very telling, quite frankly, that he wants to talk about anything and everything else except that. This is an important election for our future. And that's why I'm going to articulate exactly where I want to lead us and the huge differences between him and me on issue after issue after issue. I think it's very telling that he wants to talk about everything but that.